Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to start today's presentation on Mega Goal 1.2. Today, we'll be focusing on Unit 7, titled You've Got Mail, and specifically on reading skills. This is the first slide, so I just want to give you a quick overview. We'll be exploring the key concepts of this unit, practicing our reading strategies, and learning how to better understand and interpret emails. So, let's get started and enjoy the session together. Today, I want to talk about some of the most common and effective ways of communication. These methods are essential because they help us connect and share information clearly. We'll start by discussing how we can use sentences about reading to improve understanding. Then, we'll look at how to complete passages to find specific information, which is a useful skill in many situations. Next, we'll explore how to describe pictures using our own words, a great way to practice expressing ideas. And finally, we'll set our lesson objectives so we know what we aim to achieve today. These key points all contribute to enhancing our overall communication skills, making our interactions more meaningful and effective. So, what do you think our lesson will be about? Well, today we're going to explore how communication has evolved over time. We'll look at the different means we use to connect with each other now and compare them to how people communicated in the past. This will help us understand not only the technological advances, but also how these changes impact our relationships and daily lives. As we go along, I'll highlight the most important concepts, like the shift from traditional methods to modern digital communication. Our goal is to see the big picture of how communication shapes our world, both then and now. Let's talk about scanning. When we scan a reading, our goal is to quickly identify and understand the different forms of communication present. This means looking through the text to find not just the words, but also how information is conveyed, whether through images, charts, symbols, or layout choices. It's important to recognize that communication isn't limited to just written language. Visual elements, formatting, and even the way the text is organized all play a role in how meaning is communicated. By scanning effectively, we can grasp the overall message and the key points the author or designer wants to highlight. This step is essential because it helps us see the bigger picture and understand how different communication methods work together to deliver the message. As we move through the presentation, keep in mind that mastering this skill allows us to interpret various forms of communication more accurately and connect them to the broader context we're exploring. Let's take a look at some of the earliest and most innovative ways people have communicated over long distances. First, we have email, which revolutionized how we exchange messages quickly and efficiently. Then, there's the telephone, allowing real-time voice communication across great distances. Letters, on the other hand, represent a more traditional method, taking time but still vital for personal and official correspondence. Scanning is a more modern technique, enabling us to digitize documents and share them instantly. Moving back in time a bit, the telegraph was a groundbreaking invention that used electrical signals to send messages across wires. Now, imagine signals sent from mountaintops by shouting, an ancient method relying on human voice and visibility. Tower signals, like semaphore, used flags or signals to convey messages visually over long distances. Drum signals are another fascinating example, using rhythmic sounds to transmit information, especially in jungle or tribal communities. Then we have smoke from fire, which historically served as a simple but effective visual signal, especially in rural or open areas. Each of these methods highlights how humans have continually adapted and innovated to overcome the challenge of communicating across distances. They all connect to the overall theme of how communication is essential and has evolved to meet our needs, from primitive signals to digital exchanges. Now, before we dive into the content, I want to encourage you to think about the words we're going to explore today. These words are key to understanding the core concepts of our presentation. So, as I go through each one, I'll explain what they mean in a way that's easy to grasp. I'll also highlight why they matter and how they connect to the bigger picture we're discussing. Remember, understanding these terms will help you better grasp the overall message and apply it effectively. So, let's get started and explore what these words really mean. Today, I want to highlight some interesting aspects related to the way language and communication evolve across different regions. As we look at the phrase, "done by T. Talalul Hazmi," it reminds us that individuals can contribute uniquely to cultural expressions. Moving on, we see the idea of extending in the same direction without meaning. This could refer to how certain linguistic patterns or gestures continue without necessarily conveying a clear message, often leading to what we call nonsense. Then, there's the concept of being parallel, meaning things run side by side without intersecting, and how sometimes language or ideas can be like that, existing alongside each other without direct connection. When we talk about a variety of language spoken by people in a specific geographical area, we're referring to dialects. These are regional speech patterns that reflect local culture and history. The phrase, "assume the likeness of," suggests how languages or dialects can imitate or simulate other forms, especially when communities adopt or adapt linguistic features over large areas. This widespread adoption can lead to significant cultural shifts, or what we might call a revolution, marking a big change within communities or regions. Looking at locations and sites, these are the physical spaces where language and culture develop and are expressed. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a musical instrument made of skin stretched over a circular frame, what we call a drum. Drums are played by hitting them with either hands or sticks, and they serve as a vital part of many cultural and musical traditions worldwide. So, in summary, these concepts, from language and dialects to cultural revolutions and musical instruments, are interconnected elements that help us understand how communities express identity and adapt over large areas. All these pieces contribute to the rich tapestry of human culture and communication. All right, let's take a look at this slide. First, we see the numbers 5 down to 1, which might seem simple, but they set the stage for some important questions. The first question is, how many photos are there? This is asking us to pay attention to visual details, which is often a key part of understanding the overall message. Next, we have, how many paragraphs are there? This prompts us to think about the structure of the passage, how the information is organized and presented. Lastly, the question, what is the title of the passage? Encourages us to identify the main theme or focus of the content. These questions are designed to help us engage critically with the material, encouraging us to analyze both visual and textual elements. They also tie into the larger theme of the presentation, which is about developing better comprehension skills and paying attention to details. So, as we go through this, keep in mind how these questions can guide us in understanding and interpreting any passage or visual we encounter. So, let's explore how native peoples in the Americas transmitted messages. They developed unique methods, often using visual symbols, smoke signals, or sound signals that could be understood over distances. These communication systems were crucial for coordinating activities and passing down stories or important news. Moving to ancient Greece, they used a different approach to relay significant events like the fall of Troy. They relied heavily on oral storytelling and poetry, such as the epic tales told by Homer. These stories were memorized and shared aloud, serving as a form of communication that preserved history and cultural identity. And finally, it's fascinating to see that native peoples in various regions didn't just rely on oral traditions. They also developed their own visual and symbolic systems, which were vital for communication and cultural continuity. All these methods highlight the incredible ingenuity of early societies in transmitting information across distances and generations. Connecting all these points back to our overall theme, it's clear that the ways humans have communicated have always been innovative, tailored to their environments and needs, and essential for preserving culture and history. Now, let's explore some fascinating ways ancient civilizations communicated. First, what was the idea behind signal towers? Essentially, they were early forms of long-distance communication, using visual signals like fires or flags to send messages across great distances. This method allowed communities to relay important information quickly before modern technology existed. Moving on, what did the ancient Greeks establish? They developed a system of signaling using beacons and other visual cues to coordinate military actions and public events. These innovations laid the groundwork for more sophisticated communication methods in later societies. Finally, how did native people in Central Africa use drums? They employed drumming not just for music, but as a powerful communication tool. Different rhythms and patterns conveyed messages such as warnings, celebrations, or calls to gather. It's a vivid example of how sound can serve as a language across cultures, connecting communities over large areas. All these methods, signal towers, Greek signaling systems, and drum messages, highlight the incredible human ingenuity in overcoming distance and time to stay connected. Let's take a moment to explore some interesting questions about communication. First, when did the first email take place? Well, the very first email was sent back in 1971 by Ray Tomlinson. He's credited with inventing email as we know it today, and he also chose the @ symbol to separate the user's name from the computer network address. It's fascinating to see how this simple idea sparked a revolution in how we connect. Moving on, how have people communicated in modern times? Today, we rely heavily on digital communication, emails, instant messaging, social media, and video calls. These methods allow us to stay connected across great distances almost instantaneously. It's a huge leap from traditional letters or face-to-face conversations, and it really highlights how technology continuously shapes our interactions. Lastly, what is the meaning of these letters? QWERTYOP. These are the first letters on the top row of a standard keyboard. The QWERTY layout was designed in the 1870s by Christopher Latham Sholes. Its purpose was to prevent jamming in early typewriters by spacing out commonly used letter pairs. Understanding these basics roots us in the history of how we've developed our tools for communication, tying back to the overall theme of technological evolution. Today, I want to highlight how humans have always sought ways to stay connected, even across great distances. For example, long ago, people could understand drum language, which was a powerful way to communicate over long ranges. They knew when a war party was returning and whether it was successful, all through this form of sound signals. This takes us back to the Stone Age, a time when communication was primarily based on simple, yet effective methods like drums. Fast forward to today, and we see an incredible revolution in how we communicate. Now, we have over 263 million email boxes worldwide, enabling us to stay in constant touch with people who are far away. This shift from primitive signals to digital communication truly represents a revolution, making it easier than ever to connect, share, and stay informed, no matter where we are. Now, let's talk about some of the common problems we face when trying to communicate effectively. One major issue is the wireless connection, which can be unreliable and disrupt our conversations. Being busy is another obstacle. It makes it hard to find the right time to connect and truly engage. Cost is also a concern. Staying connected can add up quickly and become quite expensive. Then there's the emotional aspect. Sometimes our feelings aren't clear, and that can lead to misunderstandings. That's why it's so important to make sure we deliver our messages clearly and effectively. We also need to listen actively. Hearing their voices is just as important as speaking. The good news is, technology allows us to call anyone anywhere at any time. You can read and respond when you're free, making it flexible and convenient. Plus, these tools are easy to use. Whether it's email, cell phone calls, or text messages, they help us stay connected without much hassle. So, by leveraging these methods, we can overcome many of these problems and keep communication flowing smoothly. All right, for your homework, please turn to your workbook on page 292 and complete exercise. This is a great way to reinforce what we've covered today and make sure you really understand the material. Remember, applying what you've learned through practice is key to mastering these concepts. Take your time, read each question carefully, and try to think about how it connects to the bigger ideas we've discussed throughout the presentation. If you encounter any difficulties, don't hesitate to review the examples we've gone over or ask for help. Completing this exercise will help solidify your understanding and prepare you for the next steps. So go ahead and work on that, and I look forward to seeing your progress.